welcome to my channel. Well, once again, I was digging around back where I store most of my knives, and once I had worked on my father's knife and everything, I thought, where are my folding hunters that are like that? I know I've got them, and these are big knives, so where are my Rough Rider versions of that and stuff? And I found another box. I didn't find those in that, but I found them in another box. But this is how things work, you know. My mission is to go find my versions of this in my collection. And what I wind up finding is everything but that. Well, in this case, I did find, here's one of them. I did find some of them. There's another one around here somewhere. I think I have the long rifle version of this one with the smooth bone. Anyways, let's look over each of these, because that's what happens. I go back there looking for, looking for a specific pattern or a specific type of knife, and I open up a box and look. I mean, the variety of stuff. I can't just, say this is not what I'm looking for. Of course, I sit down on the floor, dump the box out, and I start looking through them and going, ooh, ooh, So I thought I'd cover that, a little bit of that right now, and that is the stripes, saw cut bone and everything. This is a half hawk, and it's just a single blade one, but it's a liner lock. This is one of the ones they called the bolster lock, and so see that's attached. That's attached to this. It's pretty elegant the way they do it. You got to be pretty careful closing these, because there is quite a bit of force on that, and there's not a huge tab sticking out. Even when you have on a, I don't have a liner lock with me, do I? This is a button lock. On a normal liner lock, well, we have a representation of one. You have a cutout and a big ledge here for you to push your finger on to release that. And then once you do, your thumb is in the way, and that kick is there to help protect you when you go to close it. With this particular type of pattern, this is something that they did. You think, okay, they're going to do a bunch of them like that. They just did it one color, one type, a few patterns, and boom. You didn't see them again. It's got a half stop on it. I mean, it looks like a traditional, half hawk or whatever, until you look a little closer. Now, they had issues with this on the fit. Some people, I think that's why they stopped it. But they did that one. And then here's a nice medium toothpick and everything. This is their 25th. And, oh, there it is. Get it in focus here. Established 25th. 1994 Rough Rider. So that's why in 24 they're doing the 30th anniversary. Alright, so that was another one. But anyways, it works the same way. You got a nice nail nick here to grab it with. It opens as a half stop. Pow. Try to get the number here for you. 1961. RR 1961. Nice blade on everything. It's not obtrusive. There's no cutout or anything, like if it would have been a normal liner lock. There's not a lot of stuff protruding. This doesn't stick out that much, and it acts like a natural little area, for you to hold it. Again, this is a little bit harder. I usually use, see how that kind of stuck? I usually use my thumb, and then I get it out of the way, and bam, let it go. I don't really worry about centering unless it's striking something or rubbing a little bit. And then I don't worry that much about it. I understand why people do that. It's for collectors. They want the best visual example. That's where all these gaps and other stuff come in. It's for people that are buying it to collect it. That's not everybody. Some people buy knives to use them, and they don't worry about how it looks. I mean, that's not always the case here. See that like rubber cement type of stuff that they use? There went that shield somewhere, long gone. Another bolster lock one, but this one is kind of like a single blade. What would you call that guy? Copperhead? I mean, all these have kind of that copperhead look to it because of that. I don't know what they officially called it. But again, you got a nice saw cut bone, nice handle. You run into this a lot with Rough Riders. If you use the knife, if you put them up and store them, you probably won't have that problem. But if you start to use them, or if you do like I do, which is drop them in a box and let them bounce around, yeah, that gets them bounced around, and this might happen. It's not just Rough Rider. I found it on a roper. One of my roper knives, I found a little round disc on the ground. What is that? And I looked at it and said roper. I go, oh, that's where that one went. But yeah, it's kind of it's not super hard to close and everything. But I mean, I like that you're gonna have a lock on a larger blade. We'll just jump to this one right now, for example. Here's a Coke bottle, all right? And it's got that, like, copperhead type of look to it and everything. Nice place to put your hand here. But it's a big long blade, and it doesn't lock. Now, that was no issue for most people back when these knives and stuff came in, because locking folding blades was a relatively new thing, I think. I mean, they had those liner locks and had all the other stuff, but most people knew how to handle a slip joint. So it wasn't an issue usually with a larger blade. Just like these, you know, Granddaddy Barlows. Again, this is a Saber. Those are one that I got in saw cut bone. They switched to Delrin or plastic later on. 2-digit one, made in Japan. Nice knife and everything, but people knew how to use them, and didn't do stupid things like I do with them, which is, you know, like you should never stab with the slip joint because of the pivot point. Oh, that's a rhyme. Don't stab with a slip joint because of the pivot point. It's like a rap song. Because when you go like this and it meets resistance, and your hand's down like here, and a Saber grip or whatever, it's Saber. It's going to show you what a Saber is. Pa-tong! See, your hand's not up there. You might not even notice that. Or if you stabbed in something, you were going that way. I don't know. Anyways, 3-finger Louie is what you're going to be known as after that. Or 3-finger whoever. 3-finger Huey. But yeah, nice knives and everything. You just have to realize that on a bigger blade, if it doesn't have a locking blade on it, you got to be careful. Maybe it's not a big issue, but for me, if it's got a long point on it, it gets to more into a sword type of, a short sword type of situation where definitely you're going to be doing some thrusting with it. That's definitely going to happen. Now, again, you know, like this is a Texas, they call this a Texas Stockman or something. This is big. Again, if you're holding it properly with a slip joint, there's not an issue with that. But people have gotten so into a small knife or a folding knife, you know, it has to be this solid in its lockup. You know, put a bunch of weight on the back of this and just really hundreds of pounds to see how much it takes. Why? You know, why? I mean, it's good to know. It's good to know the maximum limitations of anything. I mean, that's why in rifles and stuff and artillery cannons and all that, they would put proof loads in. And proof loads are loads that are way beyond the maximum pressure, sometimes like double. And that is there just as a safety thing. It's just to say, all right, if the metal's weak anywhere in here, it's going to blow when we put this proof load in here. So they get back, you know, it's in a contained environment and everything, instead of your face being right next to it when it goes off. Pull it, you know, a string, pull the trigger, And if it survives, they don't do that anymore. It survived that. No, there's different ways of doing, pressure testing and stuff like that. But the whole point is, what was my point? The whole point is, all metal has its breaking point. All locks have their breaking point. And with something like a triad lock, they're trying to make it as solid as they can. 3 points of contact, hence the triad. 3 different ways it can lock up and prevent the blade from, moving back and forth and everything. I mean, that's pretty good. That's good, but you got to keep in mind, we had a saying. I don't know if it was in the military, but you can't make you can't make everything completely idiot proof. You can try, but it's amazing how simple some people can think and just get right past stuff that you thought, well, a normal person wouldn't do that. And that's why a lot of stuff is over engineered and overbuilt. But getting back to folding knives like this, folding hunters with a lock on the back and everything, it's more secure. I mean, it's not as secure as a fixed blade. So it just depends on what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, and you know when a knife could potentially fold, and it's usually when it gets stuck in a material, or it bends. The force. It's a matter of leverage a lot of times. This is a K-bar, I believe. Yeah, K-bar. Nice looking blade. Reversible clip there. But again, this was made in China. Again, the lock back here is less likely you can grab. You're not even coming in contact with the locking mechanism. It's fairly secure, I mean, that's a fairly secure mechanism. It's just a notch, It falls into that notch and holds it in place. So I like locking knives and everything, but I was looking at my father's knife again. This is kind of rambling, I'm just going through. I was looking at my father's knife again. I was looking closer, and look at that tip. It got bent over this way and then back that way. So I think it was one of the earliest tip tests, stab and twist. I don't know what happened. I know I didn't do this. Because I didn't even remember this knife, seeing it. I remember a lot of times seeing that pouch on his hip when we went hunting and stuff. But he didn't just use this around home or anything. It was like only certain times he'd pull that out. A lot of times I wasn't there. But again, a lot of the knives, another K-bar, I like this big Fuller here. I love a Fuller. We're hidden, they're back. They're back somewhere where I, not looking at them. Marbles, Jumbo Trapper, I think is what this was. Nice half stop. Big old blade, too. I need to collect more. Alright, so what I was thinking is I need to collect more big blades and stuff like these folding hunters, because it's a very similar design. And there's more. I've got a Cold Steel out there that's like this, but a liner lock. It's floating around somewhere. But again, just more patterns that I kind of forgot. I started getting into this series was the High Plains of Rough Rider. And this is a Granddaddy Barlow, or Big Barlow. RR2046. But yeah, the nice kind of like T pattern, coffee stain or whatever. And then those ridges they not only look good, it kind of bevels it, it terraces it down. It's cool. I like that. So here's a muskrat. Is this a muskrat? No, this is a moose. Moose. Muskrat would be two of the same blades. Kind of a weak, I mean, it's got a good snap to it, but just kind of a weak spring on this one. This is a little bit stronger. But you got two, they're not sharing a spring, you know, so you could have one that's off slightly. And then, I didn't even know it, but again, it's a doctor's knife. This should be in my doctor's knife collection. But I ran out of room on that little one there. But yeah, this one actually has a spatula. And again, I don't know why they do two nail nicks on this. I mean, I'd like to have it just here or just here. And it doesn't have to be matte stripe, but it's okay if they want to. And then this one's got a spatula. I like that. You don't see a lot of them with spatulas. A lot of times they put another blade in there, or they do something else. But I think that's one of the things that makes the Dossier's knife, and then the flat bottom on there for pill crushing or bug crushing. All right. At one time, I was sitting there and did some artwork. Drew a little picture on this because some people are having issues with this with over travel. And I guess I got a good version because mine didn't go too far over. I think that's what was happening with this. Their lockup was going too far over. There was not enough metal and it would just jump past. Or it would go all the way up. I've seen one picture where one went up like that. But luck of the draw, I guess. I have no issues with that one. Alright, and then Havocs. I think I dyed this one red or boosted its redness. RR. Get this close. 1144. Yeah. Good for gardening work. Here's another one that was pretty cool. It's got a finger like Grim Reaper. Hawkbill, that's what it's called. It's not a half hawk, it's a hawkbill. RR2058. Yeah. Cool design if you want to have like a little theme. I usually have this one with the orange Halloween kind of a sunfish one. Alright, we've gone through all those up there. Well, this is just like a half hawk, but we already did that. It's a bolster one. Alright, this was in there also. This is like the Marbles safety pole. They got it in brown, white, black and white stag and everything. But this is pretty cool. You fold this back in. There. Now there's a good locking system. I'm telling you, man. The only way this thing could break, you know, you'd have to break this metal. I mean, this whole base right here is a pivot, is what that's going against. It was going up and going down, same way. That, I mean, that's a solid lockup. You got finger guard here, a little short sword. I mean, yeah, this is not bad, and it looks good too. So it's not a liner lock, and that you could serve as your lanyard loop, or hell, you could put a bolt through there if you. It wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. I was thinking you could put a bolt through there and make it like one of those extra strong lockups and everything. Nice half stop. What is our number here? Marbles MR204. Is that a 4? Yes. Sometimes that hits. You gotta watch. Sometimes that hits down here on the tip. There's a little cutout for it and everything. Now, I've got another one, a Grandway, that actually had a sheath that this will fit in. It's a copy of this, but you could carry that. All right, we were talking about, this is their old, usually it has something written on it. Bowie knife series? I don't remember what it was. It'll tell me. With the nice horseshoe stamp, saber cut kind of grind here. I like that saw cut. Pow! Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Here it is. It'll tell us what it is. It's the Bowie series, an American classic. They should have come out with a Bowie in this. Some kind of little, you know, a small, like bird and trout size knife, but with a Bowie tip on it, you know? Or even just a little, I got all my stuff packed away. I don't know where it is now, but that little Bowie knife, you know, they should have come out with one of those. But anyway, that was a whole series, but I got that portion of it. The odd ones. Oh yeah, here's another one where it fell out, but it's not too bad because you got the dark and everything, but the bow tie Rough Rider thing fell out. And this is one of those, almost like a Spyderco. You know, you could roll it out if you want, but you got to be careful. And then a traditional nail nick. And these are hard to find. RR621 because it's locked. How do you unlock it? You have to push down here. You have to push on that, and that unlocks it. The blade. Kind of sneaky. And then you got a nice little pin blade that almost turns into a sheep's foot or a Wharncliffe. But yeah, they put the stamp in there, and it's not a stamp. It's it's a Preston. It's an ting. I like that. Picks up fingerprints. Razor sharp. But yeah, this is a cool little one. I think I've got one in yellow that's like this. Alright, we've reached the end of our discussion on this. Oh yeah, and this was also in there. This is the double take trapper. So it's basically two knives that were joined together in the center and cannot come apart ever again. But you got spay blade. It's not bad in the hand. I mean, you hold it, it's not bad in the hand. Some of they get too wonky. I think the canoe, they did a double take canoe, and it just was very impractical. I've got a double take muskrat somewhere, so you get 4 blades, all the same. This you just get 2 identical sets of blades. Do we got a number on this guy? Do we have a number? Yeah, good luck finding it. Gotta check every blade. I don't think so. Anyways, it's hard to find these things because when they come out with them, they didn't make too many of them. Everybody gobbled them up or whatever, and then you find them on eBay, and people go crazy with, yeah, it's novel and everything, but it's usually not practical. You're carrying like the equivalent of 2 trappers in your pocket. It's wide, it's flat. This one, like I said, it's not bad. It doesn't carry too badly, but you can see right down the middle is a brass spacer, and it's just 2 knives joined together. One cover joins them together. I mean, they allowed enough space for the actions to work. And it's bone, so it adds to the weight. Anyway, I like different stuff, different ways, like, that's the whole reason I got this one. It's like, wow, is that a thumb stud kind of? And it locks, thumb stud liner lock, but a traditional kind of knife, that's weird, that's different. Of course, it's not going to be like a modern one. It's not going to flip out with a lot of action. And this is a kind of a cheesy, small little liner lock, so it's not going to be industrial strength or anything, but it's different. And it's got the acorn, with the little RR hidden in there. Yeah, they're made well. They look good. And I mean, that's all I need. I don't need the super steel and everything else because these are traditional knives. If I want a stronger material or stronger blade or whatever, I've got other blades I can carry around. I switched back to the bigger one on my belt because it carries just as easy as a smaller one. Now, the smaller one's in 3V and this one's in D2, but it's just a little bit more reach on the blade, and it doesn't protrude too much. Now, it's getting to be summertime, and I'm going to be wearing less overclothes and everything, so I'll just have a t-shirt, and I'll probably have to go back to something smaller, because the knife on my belt and everything, I'm not going to tuck my shirt in, so I don't want people knowing it's there. I'm a non-alarmist type of person. I don't intentionally try to alarm someone unless that action will stop them from doing something stupid, like threatening my life or someone else's. Then I might step in, but otherwise, I don't want people to know that I've got a weapon or where it's at or a knife. But I'm not worried about it if it does get seen because I'm in Texas. I mean, we can conceal carry, open carry. But anyways, there you go. That's one box. And like I said, my stuff should come in Monday, my other shelves, and I'll put those in. And I just keep working through these boxes. I get more boxes. I take all this stuff out. I look at them. I'm like, ooh, this is cool. And I thought, you should make a video of this because once they get in the shelves and everything, unless you pull those drawers out, see, that's another way. You can just put things sideways in there. The first, example of it. I haven't done it on all of them. But that gives you an idea. You could also label them, with like a little sticker labels, like the Dynamo label maker. Remember those? Plastic embossing tools. The big issue with those was the adhesive on the back. It came in a roll, so it was already curled, and you put it on something. After a while, the adhesive from heat or whatever just pop off. And then what good is it? It's labeled, but it's on the ground. There you go. I've rambled on too long. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.